Hello everybody, my name is Peter and you are watching the lesson number 3. And in this lesson I'm going to talk about variables and data types. And let's start with the definition of the variables. Variables are kind of a container where we put our information, because in our program we will manipulate our information, our data, like numbers or strings or characters and so on. And for this reason we need to use containers where we can put our data. Let's consider the example where we would like to move liquid from one place to another place, and for this reason we need to use a kind of box, because without it we couldn't transmit the liquid from one place to another place. And in our program we use the same thing, our variables. And let's start with the general scheme how we can create and identify the variables. And first of all, we identified data types. Data types, it's a kind of types of our container. For example, if we would like to put in our variables liquid, we need to use glasses. If we would like to use paper to put in our variables kind of paper, we need to use wood box, and so on. I will talk about variable types later in this video. Then we need to identify the variable's name, and this is thing need in our program, because in any places we need to get the information from our variables and put information, and we need to identify the name of our variables. After that we need after that we use equals symbol, and this symbol offer us to assign the value to our variables. It's kind of put the value in our variables, and after that we identify the value of our variables, and this is kind of information we would like to store or to put in our variables. And so we will use such scheme in everywhere in our code, and I recommend you remember such scheme. Now let's talk about data type. First of all, Java is a stronger type program language. It means that you must declare variables with particular type and store the same value with such types, and you couldn't do another way. For example, if you would like to save or to put the liquid, you need to use only glasses. If you put paper, you need to use wood box, and so on. You couldn't mix it, because it will be broke your container. Let's consider some example. First of all, we create the variable age, and this variable has the name age. And let's consider our scheme. First of all, we define the data type, and here we would like to use integer int. Then we identify the name of our variables. Then we use symbol equals, and after that we put our date in our variables. So right now we write or put 25 to variable with the name age, and after that we do the same with sex, paid, and the last three sentences we would like to print it out in our console. Now let's run this code in our IDE and looks what will be in our output. First of all, we need to open our IDE, and after that we need to open our project. This project we created in our previous lesson. If you haven't watched it, please look at lesson number 2. Here we have already we have one class, it's a main class, and one method, and the same it's a main. Let's drop this line and put our code in this method. Okay, and right now let's run it. You need to click on green arrow and select run the main. Right now our project is compiled, and after that we will look the output. Let's little bit hold. Okay, and here we see that the output which we already expected, and let's talk about our code. Here we create three variables. First is age, then second, and weight, and each variable has a particular type. Here we have integer, char, and boolean. And each variable we assign the value. For example, here we assign 25, here we assign m, and here we assign false. And these three last sentences is used to print it out. So you just need to copy paste this code and run into your IDE that look what will be happened, and maybe make kind of changes that to have additional practice. Right now, let's talk about what kind of types Java has. Java has 8 primitive types. To be honest, Java has two groups of data types. One is called primitive types and another is called reference types. But in this lesson I will talk only about primitive types, because we need it for arithmetical operation, and first of all we should to know how to work with arithmetical operation, and after that we will go to reference time and consider object-oriented programming. So it's more difficult subject than just to talk about primitive types. Java has 8 primitive types, and each primitive types we can split on 4 groups. First group is a Boolean type, and it's variables which can be assigned to true or false, and we are going to use in Boolean logic, like conditional statements, like loops, and so on. I will talk about such construction in the next lesson. Another group is called char, and this variable can contain characters, all, later, string, and so on. Another group is called integral types, and byte, short, in, long. And another one, it's the last one, it's the float point types, and this is variables can contains a number with float points. In such variables we can use arithmetical operation. It's like a general mathematics, so we can calculate, we can summarize, we can subtract, we can multiply, we can divide it. Let's consider on the example. For example, I would like to summarize first and second. So first of all we are defined our variables, and we need to define the variables we can put our result. So we are defined first variables, second variables, and we are defined the result variables, and we are assigned the arithmetical operation with first and second, and here we use a plus symbol to summarize first and the second variables, and we use our operation for print our information to console and call system out println. Just use it without any problem. Just copy and you paste in your code and look what will happen. Let's do it. Let's copy this code and put it in our main method, then run it. Now we await when compile it, and we will see the result. So the same thing we can use another arithmetical variables. Let's switch to our theoretical material. Here is a subtraction when we use minus symbol, divide when we use hash, and multiplication when we use asterisk. If you look on this code, if you look on this sample, it's the same like we do in our mathematical class, in our mathematical practice. Yeah, here we have a result 25, and it's expected that 10 plus 15 will be 25. One interesting thing about variables is reassigning. We don't have such operation in mathematics. Let's consider such situation that we need to increment our values to 1. For example, let's write such code. We define the variables. First of all, we identify the types of our variables. After that, we give the name and use as equals a symbol, and after that we assign the value 0. And here we are making reassigning. So first of all, we write the variable. So here we don't create new variable, we use variable which we already created in our previous line, and after that we read the value from the first line and plus it to 1 and assign it to the same value. So, and this separation is called reassignment, and if we look at the output, we will get 1, and we can do it repeatedly. For example, if we do it 10 times, we will look at the console and we will see that there are 10 and so on. Java has a simplified form of such expression, and this is how we call it. This is how we write it. So we use plus symbol, then we use equals symbol, and the value which we would like to increment. And if we write it in our long form, it will be the same, like a count equals count plus 10. And we have another useful construction when we need to increment the value on 1. So, and this is called increment and decrement, and we use the same double plus and double minus symbols. Here in my articles you can find more information about some benefits which appear in Java 10. I don't want to talk in this video about it. And what I recommend you, if you watch me, that you need to write code, you need to solve exercise which I put after this video, because I can check it and I can give you feedback about each your solution. I will put more exercise here. I put few exercises, but I promise I leave here, I write here more exercises, and I would like that you have done it and put the link with your solution under this video and after and under another video. Thank you for watching me. Goodbye.